G'day guys, Jimmy from GRABmeGEAR here and welcome back to another walk around episode. We've got something pretty unique for you today and I'm pleased to be joined by the Seriously Serious crew, and with us we have Geoff and Damon. Welcome guys.
Thanks for having us.
That's alright, keen to check this out.
Yeah, no, it should be good.
And Geoff and Damon have literally just rolled in from their trip to Kalgoorlie and they've come via the Holland track, so they're certainly living up to their spirit of adventure and adaptability. So how long has it taken you to get to Perth?
Oh, we've taken the long way, so it's been about 3 days.
3 days.
But, you know, time flies when you're having fun.
Yep,
Yeah.
good. And we're getting straight into it too. So we're at McCallum Park in Perth, Western Australia, where the four-wheel drive show is going to be on for the next few days. And the Seriously Serious crew are going to have a stand there. And for today, they've picked 4 pieces of gear that tell the story of their adventures. So we're going to learn more about the gear, the vehicle, the adventures, and the people as we do the walk around. So let's get into it. All right, so for anyone that's into their vehicle tech, stay tuned. After we've done the walk around, Geoff's going to run through the vehicle, the trailer, and all the mods that have been done. And now we're going to kick off with our first bit of gear, but just before we do, Geoff, can you give us a brief intro to the vehicle and the trailer?
Yeah, sure, Jimmy. So basically what we've got here is a Land Rover Series 3. It was made in 1975, and for those of you who I guess aren't landy nuts, it's basically the precursor to the Land Rover Defender. Mm-hmm. And then on the back we've got a ex-Australian Army 1966 number 5 trailer.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, good vintage, same as me. So.
A lot of good things happened that year.
That's right.
Yeah.
Cool. And also, Geoff, before we get into the gear, you know, why early series Land Rovers for your adventures?
Oh, look, we could be here for days talking about that, Jimmy, but I guess it boils down to a few different things. They're an affordable vehicle, they're a rugged vehicle, and dare I say it, they're a relatively dependable vehicle. And these are the things that I think the average going or the common adventurer out there really, you know, kind of appeals to in that regards, because as much as we would like to have, you know, the latest and greatest to get out there and see Australia, some of us just can't afford it. And we don't need to wait to get the money in the bank to do it. We can get out there right now and see this great country.
Cool, that's an awesome story.
Yeah, thanks Jimmy.
All right, now let's get into some gear. What's your first piece of gear that you've chosen?
Oh, well, I think that'd have to be the canvas tarp.
Canvas tarp,
Canvas tarp, cool. So we'll get that.
Yeah.
Go.
These are locally made here in WA. Beautiful.
They are, they are. No, this is a fantastic piece of kit. It's, for us, because we've got a short wheelbase vehicle, it's about taking kit that has multiple uses, and the canvas tarpaulin is really one of them. Why we like GRABmeGEAR is because of the quality and the longevity of the products. And with this, we can use it as a max track, we can use it for shelter, we can string it up in the trees, we can put it over the front of the Land Rover here and it acts as a barrier to stop water going in through deep water crossings. And I know what you're all thinking, works great as a drop sheet when we're having to repair the Land Rover too. So,
absolutely.
You know, it's that multiple uses out of one piece of kit is really what means a lot to us.
Yep.
Yep.
Cool. Well, a drop sheet was the main thing it was designed for, but it sounds like you've got lots of other uses.
Oh yeah.
Never thought of it as a max track, but it's a cool idea.
It works very, very well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Folds up a lot smaller too.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great.
All right. And then what's your next piece of gear?
Well, it'd have to be these great seat covers that we've got. So we'll have to move into the Series 3 to have a look at that.
All right, so the seat covers, this was our first venture into doing anything like this, and it was a big learning experience, and I thought they were beautiful the way that they turned out, but how have they performed?
Oh, well, we put these in and then we went through Central Australia from Uluru or Ayers Rock right down to the Australian Bight on nothing more than backtracks. So they had a pretty hard initiation, you could say.
Yeah.
But they've been so good, and Jimmy, you know, asked us if we could have, if there was any sort of little alterations we wanted. And so we've put a few little features in, and particularly we've got these pockets at the side here, just to put tools in. As you can see, we've got a shifter and a screwdriver. So we actually need this to engage the front hubs on the vehicle, and obviously we need the shifter just to keep things nice and tight too. But we've got pockets down here also, which, as you can see, we've got a few items in there at the moment, but they're so handy.
Yeah.
And because these seats originally, or they are vinyl, in the hot WA conditions,
Yeah.
it's not the most pleasant material to be sitting on. And when you're doing mile after mile, you want something that's comfortable.
them,
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they've been great, and they're definitely something, if any of you own a Series Land Rover, I would recommend checking out. They're a really good addition.
Cool. Yeah, I love the idea you had around having somewhere to put your tools and just things that you don't have space for. So
Yeah, well,
it's pretty exciting.
you can kind of see it here. Everything kind of gets lost in the middle.
Yeah.
So you're kind of fumbling all the time for tools. So having something that you can just duck in, grab, and get it going.
Yeah.
Yeah, works wonders.
Awesome. That's what it's
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah.
Well, the next bit of gear Geoff's chosen is his toolkit, and I love how it's stored in this front runner drawers, but they've been adapted from a Jimny, which is pretty cool, I think. So.
Oh, it is, and sadly they don't make drawers for these vehicles anymore, so you've got to get a bit creative.
Oh, there we go.
And as we were discussing off camera, we've also made these sort of containers to go in there, because the little cub packs that they're in, that fit in there, are a bit restrictive, and we need to carry a bit more food and a bit more tools because we're out bush a bit longer.
Yeah.
So yeah, it works well.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. And do you want to talk us through the toolkit you have?
Yeah, sure. So this is basically our one-stop tool shop. So it has happened in the past, and I hate to admit it, Jimmy, but sometimes the Land Rover kind of takes charge and stops unexpectedly.
Just on the odd occasion?
Yeah, it never breaks down because we get it going again, knock on wood. But yeah, this is fantastic, and the thing we like about it is everything's in one bag, so we can just pull it out. It's got two robust handles. We can just chuck it on the front wing, unzip it, and get into fixing the Land Rover. So we basically carry a 1/2-inch socket set, a knockometer or a hammer, and then feeler gauges, good pair of pliers, a few screwdrivers, and a spanner set in imperial and metric, because obviously the vehicle has both.
Okay,
Just to spice things up a bit. And pretty much with that basic toolkit, you can do 90% of all the jobs on the vehicle, because they're designed to be incredibly simple and to be serviced out in the field or the bush.
That's amazing. I mean, I was surprised that that's the main kit for the amount of repairs that you do, so it's pretty compact.
Yeah, you just have to get creative,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah. Start putting eggs in radiators, and don't use black pepper, use white pepper, and that sorts out any radiator leaks.
Okay.
So doing a few things like that helps along the way too.
There we go.
Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. All right, so Damon's chosen a piece of gear that he uses to store some of his camera equipment, and we'll come back to that a bit more. Also had the pleasure of just being in Damon's neck of the woods in Tassie. So that's where you're from?
Yeah. So I'm from the Huon Valley, and so is Geoff. And it's a really green and peaceful part of this world, and I'm glad you got to visit it.
Oh yeah, it was awesome. I was blown away by the amount of wildlife, the flowing water, how green it was. It was it was magic time. I'm definitely keen to get back. So
special part of this place. Yeah.
And you've had quite a few adventures there as well in your videos. So.
Yeah. So Geoff and I, we know a lot of secret gems down there, so we like to go show the rest of the world through our videos what we have, and we just love sharing it. Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like a good excuse to visit. So.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Alrighty, and so what have you chosen for us here?
Yeah, so this was an ongoing issue I had with all my charging equipment for multiple batteries of cameras, drones, and also like GoPros, and it was an absolute bird's nest, usually just like in a Woolies bag or just something I had nearby. And I had a good excuse to use one of these to store all of that, plus a lot of more things that were just loose in bags and camera bags, so it's really nice to have this storage and to be able to see inside it what you're looking at, opposed to other closed bags you can't see. So if I'm looking for something, I can say, yep, it's in there, got my tape in there, got all my chargers. It is not organised inside, but I know it's in there, and that's really important, just to have the knowledge of what you've got, and easy access, and the ability not to actually go in and look through it is really helpful.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so it's worked out really well. And also used the smaller pouches that are very similar but smaller to store batteries, like GoPro batteries. They're really handy, and you can just see exactly what's inside.
Yeah.
And they're tough, so we can bash them around and not worry about them.
Yeah, well, they certainly need to be with you guys, though.
Yeah, yeah.
So
it's definitely a bonus.
yeah, that's awesome. I love that. That's the exact sort of purpose they're for, and just that it's all in one sock and you know where it is. That's the important thing, and it helps protect them a little bit too. So
Yeah, it definitely does, and it's worked out super well, more than I thought I needed, actually.
Yeah.
So no, it's great work.
all right, nice one. Thanks, Dave. So,
Cool.
there's something I love about these number 5 trailers. They look really cool, but they're also very practical. So I was wondering, do you take these on every trip, Geoff, or is it just when does it get used? Yeah.
Well, this one usually goes behind our support vehicle, which is a ex-Australian Army Land Rover Parenti. And we usually take it on longer trips when we're going away for up to a month or more.
Mm-hmm.
And its primary role is really to store fuel and water, because it's designed to hold 20 jerry cans, or basically 1/4 of a tonne.
Oh, okay.
So this will carry the auxiliary or extra fuel for the Series 3 here,
Mhm.
and also for the Parenti, and usually we can carry up to 100 litres of water, which will
Wow.
last us probably about, 2 weeks or longer if
Yeah.
we don't have showers. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's sort of its role. But here today, we've got some very special merchandise for the 4-wheel drive show.
Ah, yeah.
We've got some custom-made high-lift jacking plates that a good friend of ours, Lindsay, has made. So they were a bit too heavy to put in the Series 3, so hence the trailer here today.
Yeah, Geoff showed me them before. If you're looking for a serious heavy-duty jacking plate, have to check them out, hit them up. They're awesome. So
Yeah.
we'll try and get a shot of them in there for you.
Yeah, yeah.
All
Yeah.
right,
Cool.
good one.
Nice.
And well, while
Oh, let's have a bit more of a chat about it, Jimmy.
I was
What would you like to know?
no, I was going to ask you more of a general question
Oh,
around Seriously Series, and just how Seriously Series came to being, and where do you see it going?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. So we kind of, or Damon and myself, I guess, sort of fell into doing this. It happened sort of 7 years ago, and I sort of reached a point where things weren't going quite the way I wanted in my life in Tassie in regards to my career opportunities, and I decided that I needed to move away. And Western Australia here, I thought, had plenty of work, and it just so happened that I realised that I didn't have a lot of money, but I had a lot of time. So I thought I'd take my 1961 Land Rover Series 2 that I bought for $400 originally and drive across Australia. And Damon and I have been friends since childhood, and we both share the fascination of Land Rovers and getting out bush and all the rest. And he was doing a cinematography course and he needed a project. So I guess stars aligned, and we split the fuel bill and we travelled across the breadth of Australia. Yeah,
That's a pretty awesome adventure.
Yeah, it was. And it was life-changing in so many ways. And after that, I guess we both felt that it whetted our appetite for adventure and, doing it in these vehicles. And with Damon's, great skill of cinematography, it's just grown from there, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sort of where we're sort of pushing into now is doing the best sort of, I guess, cinematography and production that we can in regards to adventure documentaries, travelling to sort of the more forgotten parts of Australia and hopefully abroad down the track. So watch this space.
Awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I got to see the your movie Road to Ruin, which
Oh,
is
yes.
about doing the canning stock route with these vehicles, and it was an amazing watch. And I see that movie's now gone around Australia. It's even getting showings at overseas film festivals. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where you take things. So.
Yeah, and we've had a few developments just in the last month. You can actually watch it on Apple TV or iTunes here in Australia. So yeah, check it out, Road to Ruin. It might be the film for you.
Yeah, that's a tough adventure.
It was. I wouldn't do it again.
All right, cool. Yeah. All right. Well, now let's have a talk about the Landy itself and all the bits and pieces. So,
yeah. Let's get into it.
Cool. All right. So everyone loves to know about the vehicle. So Geoff, can you tell us a bit more about the story of where the vehicle came from and anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah. So we were gearing up, or the story behind the vehicle, I should say. We were gearing up to do our next big trip after crossing Australia, and this was going to be the Canning stock route. So my idea was that new series, new Land Rover, and I felt the Series 2 wasn't quite up to doing the job. So I put an advert on Gumtree, wanted Land Rover Series 3, and I wanted it pretty much with all the original setup in regards to the driveline. And a guy called me, and he was living in Meekatharra, which is 700 kilometres north of Kalgoorlie, which is where I live. And I drove up there with a friend, and it was there. So it was a sight unseen, and there was a bit of a twist. It ended up being 2 Land Rovers for $3,000. So this one was registered, so I ended up driving this one back, and we put the wreck on the actual car trailer. So I didn't know anything about the vehicle, but it made the 700 kilometres back to Kalgoorlie.
Yeah.
And then I started stripping it down and getting it ready for the Canning stock route.
That's pretty cool. 2 for the price of 1. So.
Oh, who doesn't like something
Yeah.
for free, you know, or a good bargain? Yeah. So.
Now we could probably do a whole nother video just on the vehicle itself, and actually Geoff already has. So if you want to check out Seriously Series YouTube channel, you'll find 2 walk-around vids which cover the vehicle in depth, and lots of other mods and everything else they've been doing on lots of great content on the channel. So is there any particular pieces you'd like to share with us here? So.
Oh, look, there's many, Jimmy. I guess one of the handiest bits of kit is the Pioneer tool set that we've got on here. I actually got this off a wrecked Land Rover Series 3 that I had, and this has our pick, axe and shovel, and that's really handy for around the campfire, or sadly if you get bogged and you need to dig yourself out, so that's really handy. I guess the real party piece for this vehicle is underneath here, and that is the 2 long-range tanks that we fitted to each side of the vehicle. These generally come out with 1 tank, and it only holds 45 litres, which is fine if you're, you know, puttering around the counties of England, but it's not very good out here in Australia, particularly if you're doing the Canning stock route. So you could get a long-range tank which is 16 gallons, or I think about 68 litres, and we fitted 1 each side. And then we got the fuel lines out of an ex-Australian Army Land Rover Series 2A from the 1960s, hooked them up so you've got a brass tap in the middle, and you flick it to the left for the left tank, right to the right tank, and you've got a switch on the dash to flick from each sender unit so you know how much is in it. So,
so how many Ks would you get out of a tank? Yeah.
Depending on the terrain and how you're driving it, sort of on the highway you'll probably get about maybe 1400 Ks. And then off-road you might get a little bit more, which sounds odd, but you're not having to rev the engine as much, you're just puttering along. So with that you might get sort of 15 to 1600 kilometres. So that's sort of what we wanted, and that's why we've got the jerry can holders up here and on the back, so we can push out to sort of 1800 kilometres, which is what you need to have that much fuel to do the Canning stock route, really.
Wow.
And I guess the last bit of kit that's really handy for us is, and it's very underrated, is the canvas water bag. It's a bit empty at the moment, but I've seen so many people with these gigantic mega fridges, and they're pulling out bottles of water Whereas this, you just put water in it, you soak it, drive down the road for 5 minutes, and the water is cool, not cold. And as you know, Jimmy, on a hot day, you always drink cool water, not cold water, because that can bring on heat stroke and heat stress and all the rest. So that's just fantastic, and it means we've got more room in the fridge for fermented beverages and all the rest, which is critical.
Yeah, very cool traditional bit of kit. And,
it is.
I mean, I love that with the setup you have, you try and incorporate a lot of traditional gear as well, and keep it simple. So
yeah, well, you know, some of the old ways are the best ways, you know, and they're cost effective. They've worked for, you know, some of them hundreds of years, so why not use them? Yeah,
and it's got a feature that not many other people might have, which I love, is the air conditioning front and side. So it's a pretty cool feature.
It is. It's naturally aspirated. So no, it's really good. These are actually came with the vehicle, and they're actually off a caravan. So someone's got in there with tin snips and had a bit of fun. But we've kept them there because they actually work. And they help to blow the dust around a little bit more in the cab and spice things up a bit.
Yeah.
So, it's a good feature.
Cool. Must get pretty hot when you're on your trips.
It does, but the good thing about these vehicles is we usually take the door tops off.
Oh yeah.
So we have stubby doors down here, so that makes a bit of a difference.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Thanks, Geoff. And remember, if you want to find out more, check out the YouTube channel. All right, so Geoff and Damon, you know, what's next in terms of content or adventures you've got coming up?
Well, there's quite a bit. Our adventure to get here to the show is going to be edited and put up on our YouTube channel, which is our name, Seriously Series, so you can check us out there. We've got some big adventures planned for 2023. We're hoping to travel from basically the Great Victorian Desert north to south, down to the Australian Bight.
Oh, wow.
And we're looking at crossing, hopefully, the Nullarbor from west to east, using nothing more than backtracks too. So they'll be our big two adventures in 2023, with a few smaller ones chucked in for good measure.
Sounds pretty good. There's lots coming up. And,
and
so if people want to follow along and find out more, where can they find you?
They can find us on Facebook by typing in Seriously Series, Instagram too, we're under Seriously Series TV, YouTube, we've got weekly videos coming out there, and they can also see our film Road to Ruin on Apple TV or iTunes.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time today, for literally rolling in from the bush straight to here. It's an awesome effort. And we had Mike and Carl that were going to join us from the crew today, but unfortunately they were not able to make it. So thanks to them anyway. And all the best with the 4x4 show.
Thanks, Jimmy. It's been a pleasure, and look forward to the next one.
All right. Good one. And we'll see you again on the next Walkaround series. Thank you. See ya.